All right, good morning, guys. We are talking here with Professor Sidwell, who is in Illinois right now, with how many inches of snow?
Oh, it's melting now.
Oh, finally melting. Okay.
Yeah, it's finally melting.
But they had 6 to 10 inches, and then it snowed on top of that also before it all melted. And anyway, she's here to talk to us about, we've been studying anatomy and physiology, doing some labs, getting an introduction to those things, and she is a lab coordinator and an anatomy and physiology professor at the SIU Edwardsville, Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville. And so she's just going to give us, shine some light onto what she does and how she works, and it's pretty cool because she gets to set up the labs and then also be boss of the TAs, which are teachers' assistants that go around to help out also. Professor Sidwell.
Hi guys, how are you?
Good.
All right. So who here wants to go to college? All right, that's great. So who's thinking about science in college? Any kind of science, doesn't have to be anatomy. Yeah, not only, yeah, it's cool, it's pretty cool. The one great thing about science in college, specifically because that's what I did, I have a bachelor's degree in biology and a master's degree in environmental chemistry. And one of the great things about pursuing science is all the hands-on stuff that you get to do. So that's why anatomy is so cool, is by the time you actually get to college, you're not just learning everything from a textbook, you're doing all the little dissection stuff you did with Mr. Peterson, you get to do that almost every day. So that's what I'm in charge of out here, is making sure that all of you guys who are coming to college are getting all the hands-on stuff and learning stuff, right, getting your fingers and the hearts and that kind of thing. So that's what I'm in charge of, is making sure that we have all the stuff we need so we can teach you guys the right way. And at a school like SIUE, we're pretty big. So we've got probably 500 students in anatomy and physiology. And so that means that we've got labs running all day long, all throughout the whole week. So instead of me teaching all of those, we have graduate students teaching those. So other students, they've already gotten their bachelor's degree, so now they're going on to school again to get their master's. They actually get tuition for free, they get a stipend, and they teach the lab as well. So school, just because you think school is expensive, there's actually some good ways to get school paid for. You can get scholarships, you can get loans, so you have to pay those back, but also what some of my students do is they have assistantships. So they're actually teaching and we get to go to school for free. So that's pretty cool. And so I'm in charge of them and making sure that they have everything they need so they can teach them. And then I will also teach the course as well.
And didn't you start off as a TA?
Yeah, I did. That's how my master's degree is in environmental chemistry, which is nothing like anatomy, but I was a TA for anatomy and physiology, and I liked it so much that when I got out, this position opened up and I was able to get it, I just kept going on the A&P train. So that's pretty cool to me, but I love science, so if you don't like science, then it might not be all that cool to you. Do you guys have any questions about what a lab is like? I had lots of questions about anatomy stuff, and I'll get to all of those. But what about lab? What college is like, that kind of thing? I'll let Mr. Peterson pick people for me.
Yeah, and I keep slipping up and accidentally saying Abby. And guys, we have known each other for a very, very long time. She's known my wife since they were almost your age, guys, okay? So, Dominic, I recall seeing a question of his, what was it, how are the labs actually set up? Okay, yeah, Dominic there in the back had a question earlier about how are the labs actually set up?
Okay,
What
so
would that
you
look
guys
like?
know how the body's arranged into organ systems? So you have the skeletal system, the urinary system. We break down our labs by system. So right now, one of our labs, they're doing bones. So they're learning all about the different types of bones. So we know every single bone in the body. I could call you its name, and I could tell you all these different landmarks that are on there where muscles attached to them. So right now we are doing bones in one lab, and we're doing the digestive system in another lab. So we arrange the labs based off of the organ systems that we're covering that week. Anybody else?
Have you ever created a model of the human body before?
Have you worked on creating the model?
Great. Oh, no, I wish I could though. I really want to be able to do that. I buy them from different companies. So for whatever reason, Germany, there's so many of these models made in Germany. So I buy a bunch, I research them, and then I buy the ones that I think are the best. Who else?
Has she ever worked with a human body part, and what is the body part?
Have you ever worked with, I shared with my kiddos, this is a mixture of mine and Miss Coleman's classes, and shared with my kiddos how Miss Rachel has worked with a human cadaver, and they wanted to know if you have.
So I haven't. I've seen some cadavers, but I haven't done a dissection on a cadaver. In some labs in college, you will be able to see them. Well, it takes a whole special facility to have a human cadaver. So if you were to go on to medical school, like going to be a doctor, or maybe, another kind of, get a doctorate in something else, you'll definitely be able to work with a cadaver then. But what we do here is we do animals. So we do cat dissection. So we actually dissect cats and look at their organs. So each student working with the group has their own cat. And so the organs are pretty similar enough to get the idea of what a human would look like, but without actually having to have the big facility, and it's pretty expensive to be able to have that too. So the cats are a good way to see what it would be like on a human without all of the extra stuff.
And for our age group, what we will do here, not right now, but because of time and state testing, of course, but we'll work with frogs.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So a lot of the stuff is cool. That was one of the questions. I forget, I put it down. I forget exactly how you phrased it, but there are most organs are going to be really relatively similar. So they're going to be bigger or smaller, and some animals have little things that are different, but a lot of the organs are going to be pretty much the same, because the way our bodies are put together is making sure that things work perfectly. So a lot of the organs will be the same because it's a good system. So they want to keep it throughout all the animal kingdom. Any other questions?
Okay, Carlos, then we'll get you.
What type of animals do they dissect?
Do what?
What type of animals?
What are all of the different animals? Because I said that sometimes in college, because I talked to you about what the best heart would be, and we were able to do a cow heart, and what was that, last week or the week before?
Last week.
But how you talked about different animals as well. So what are all of the different animals parts that you use?
So we use a bunch of different ones. The most common ones are cow organs, sheep, and pig. They tend to be the most similar. All of the cow stuff is going to be bigger. The cow heart was really big. And so I do like the pig heart because it's closer to the human size. It's closer to what you could expect on a human. The cow has so much of that muscle that it can be kind of tough to dissect. So I do pig heart, pig kidney, we do those, and sheep brains. We do sheep brains and sheep eyes. The eyes all kind of look the same, but the cow eyes are really big. So we do the sheep ones because they're a little bit smaller and easier to handle. Those are the 3 common ones. If you were to go and try and get them, those tend to be the most common ones you'll find.
I feel very proud of our district because in 8th grade, when we do lenses for light waves, we get to do the cow and sheep eyes then, and we'll actually show you guys the sheep brains, and we have some of those, and kidneys, and Professor Sidwell has clued me in on the ins and outs of what to look for, and right before we do that lab, I'll also call her back, just to make sure I got it right.
Nope.
But
Yeah,
not
no
all,
question.
I was just gonna say, not all middle schools get that opportunity, guys, so seeing
That's
this
really
stuff,
cool, yeah.
I didn't get a lot of this stuff in high school, I had to wait till I got to college to see what you guys are seeing now.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
probably one more question on this, just so we can get them to their last block. Because I'll be able to answer yours in class, okay? Okay, just.
Can you ask her, can she explain her most interesting or favorite lab that she did?
Okay, did you hear that one?
I didn't.
What is your most interesting or favorite lab to do?
Ooh,
Think.
Oh, probably when we do the special senses, the eyes and the ears and how those work. I think the way the ear works is incredibly cool. It's really, really neat. That's probably my favorite one to teach it how we actually hear. Have you guys learned yet how you have a bunch of little bones in your ears? Inside your ear, you got a bunch of little bones inside there. So when you, the sound waves, right, because when we're talking, we're creating sound waves, and that hits your eardrum, it causes those little bones to vibrate, and then that causes, you actually have fluid inside your ear, and that causes the fluid to make water waves, basically, and that's kind of how you hear in a very short summary. So it's really, and when you look at how small the bones are and how everything is it's pretty cool. I wish I would have brought an ear in here with me so I could have showed you that. That's probably my favorite, is the ear. Eye's pretty cool too.
Talking on the intricacies of that, I thought of a really neat question this morning with my kids' first block. Of course, I like spy movies, and they talk about the biometric eye scanners and stuff like that. And so, in 8th grade, they'll learn about the retina and the eyeballs and everything like that. But when it says it's a retina scan, do you actually have to cut out the nerve cord also, because that's where the retina is?
Well, if you were to have like an implant or something like that.
Well, like in spy movies, they in
If
the,
you do just retinal scan, it goes through the pupil.
oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. So your iris, that was a question, what's the purpose of the iris? So the iris controls your pupil's just a hole. So it can be bigger in low light, and it can be smaller in bright light, and it's just letting light go into your eye. So when you do like a retinal scan, it's basically going through your pupil, and then that light is going through and hitting your retina, which is the back part of your eye.
So, what is the most complicated lab you've ever done?
Most complicated lab is probably blood, when we do blood typing. Have you guys heard about blood types before? Yeah, your blood type may be A positive, or you may be A negative, or that is kind of a tricky concept to understand. So that's probably the most complicated lab, because whenever you deal with things that are like itty tiny bitty that you can't even see, it's kind of hard to explain sometimes. It's hard to imagine. So that's probably the most complicated lab.
We actually just got, yesterday, DNA molecules and blood typing kits. So, Ms. Coleman and I are gonna try our best to work them in this year, for the kids.
That'd be cool.
Anything else?
What are some other questions?
Okay, temperance?
Have you ever like actually dissected or looked at a human body?
No, I already have.
She had mentioned no.
Closest to
Yeah.
Have you ever messed up in one of your labs or dissections?
You ever messed up? Oh yeah, I mess up all the time. Do you guys see that cow part that Mr. Peterson had to cut through it? Well, there are times where I go to cut through a heart and it just looks like a mess. So I just, well, this is what it's supposed to look like, and let's just get on a new one and do the best we can. We do muscles on the cat, so we try to dissect out all the different muscles that the cat has, and it's really easy to cut it off by accident or something like that. So I mess up all the time, yeah.
So you guys could talk on that. What was a lab that we all did together that we had some rubber band type things?
Chicken wing?
Okay, so step up so that she can hear you, or speak loudly.
Okay, the chicken wing?
We did a chicken wing, meat, muscles, and tendons, and to see how the tendons and ligaments and that cartilage cap, and how some people bite that off to suck out the bone marrow. And of course, I didn't bite it off. I took a hammer and smashed
There
it.
you go.
It was more fun that way.
There you go, yeah, exactly. You still learn something even when you mess up.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of these discoveries are made, by mistakes. They're like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. So, you even learn even when you make mistakes.
What will
That's not good.
What will happen if after the brain doesn't work?
If what?
After the brain doesn't work?
So what is it when half of your brain doesn't work?
Oh, it's another question. So that, like basically what would happen to your body, is that what you're kind of thinking? So a lot of the control of your body, like your heart and your respiration, your breathing, that's all in like the brain stem, which is a little bit lower down. So, oh wait, sorry, I brought a brain with me.
That's a real one?
A what?
That is
Oh,
a
no,
real
brain, sorry, brain model. All of that stuff is, I don't know if you guys can see.
It's a fake brain.
DJ's brain.
So this is
This is our brain. So all of the respiration, heart rate, all of that stuff is controlled in this region here called the brainstem.
that looks real.
And I think what you were thinking is, say you had damage like to this part here, or maybe this part here. If you look at this guy has colors on it, and all these different colors mean that that's a region of the brain that controls something specific. Like maybe you're detecting sensation or something like that. So if you had damage right here, you wouldn't be able to survive. But if you just damage this part of your brain, you might still be alive, but some things may not be working the same way. So say you had damage right here in the frontal lobe, that means that your personality is probably going to change.
Oh.
And if you had damage right here in the parietal lobe, that would mean that maybe, say you were to touch something that was really hot. You might not be able to recognize that. So your skin would be burning, or, you know, there would be pain there, but you would be able to perceive the pain. And then, like, your hearing could be affected, your vision could be affected, that's back here in your occipital lobe. But if you notice that the brain has two parts to it, so your brain is able to recover somewhat. It kind of depends on what happens. If you, and it depends on damage and all that stuff. But you do have the chance of being okay after time. But if you damage your brainstem, that's no bueno. That's not good.
Yeah. It's not just damage, but that goes for if there's a tumor in your frontal lobe, that would affect your personality as well, correct?
Oh, yeah, big time. That's a big thing that happens. People coming back from war who have damage to their frontal lobe, they'll come back a completely different person, and it's not their fault. It's just that's where your personality develops, is in that frontal lobe. So if you have damage right here, it can really just change who you are as a person. What you may thought was pretty, picture you thought was pretty when you were 17, and then you had damage. Now you think that picture is really ugly. It just, that's just what happens sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, Dominic?
I was gonna ask, it might be a little off topic, but why do we yawn?
Oh, question, why do we yawn?
Oh, so I actually looked that up because I wanted to double check. I was taught a while ago, and this is one of those things that they're still doing research on this, if you can believe it. Because I used to think it was to help get more oxygen to your brain. What I actually just read is it actually helps cool your brain. So it works with thermoregulation, regulating the temperature inside your body. Yeah, so you can think more clearly if your brain's a little bit cooler. So when you yawn like that, you're getting lots of air, and so that's helping cool your brain. And so I think another question was, why do you cry when you yawn? Because if you guys all yawn, are your faces kind of crinkling up a little bit? Yeah, and you've got all these facial muscles, and your lacrimal gland, let me get that out. This is an eye. This is your lacrimal gland, that's in the corner of your eye socket. This is your lacrimal gland. So all of these little muscles, you guys see these muscles around here? When you yawn, you're crinkling up your face muscles, and so it's contracting, it's pushing on your lacrimal gland right here, and that's causing the tears to go across your eye. So that's why you cry when you yawn, or like your eyes water a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, if people get hurt, they don't wear like a red gear sometimes.
Oh, have any of your students or TAs got hurt because of not following proper procedures?
Oh, yep. No, that definitely can happen. So, because we use knives and other sharp things, so if they don't follow the rules that we have, they can get hurt and they can cut themselves. And so it's really important that that they follow all of the rules, because they're there for a reason. We don't just make them up because we feel like it.
Sean?
Is it, what is being damaged in your body whenever you hold your urine too long?
Oh, we're doing urinary system today, and so some of the kids were asking, if you hold it, is there actually damage? I think this comes from kids saying, oh, there's 15 minutes left of class, I can't hold it that extra 15 minutes, I have to go right now.
So, no, that's fine, to just hold it for a little bit longer. If you were to try to, over years, and try and hold it for a significant amount of time, not just 15 minutes, like, I'm talking like hours, that could cause infection. But just for a few minutes, that's not, actually what happens is your bladder expands. So it has lots and lots of room to grow. So just holding it for a little bit, your bladder has plenty of room to grow. But if you were trying to hold it for several hours or something like that, then there's a possibility of infection. Most likely not so, because I'm sure you guys all are nice.
I have a question. I think I damaged about right here on the back of my head. So I was wondering, what damage could that have caused to my body?
Right back there, so you just got hit, something like that.
It actually fractured part of the skull.
Fractured? Well, one thing is, first your whole body has several defense mechanisms. So it would take like a lot of, impact to really damage you. Because not only do you have the bones there, you have other protective layers, and there's even water covering it too that helps. But that region of the brain is your occipital lobe, and one of the primary, and your cerebellum is down there as well. So I'll show you. So we were talking like right here, basically.
Yeah.
So this, the vision, this is this little tiny green area right here is your visual cortex. And then here's your cerebellum down here, and this affects coordination. So being able to do like complex motor movements, like juggling a soccer ball or something like that, that would be your cerebellum. So, so that could be affected, but your body is so strong and has so many protective layers and defense mechanisms. So, it takes a lot to have some really bad damage to your brain.
I'm gonna see if I was in it.
Impact happened and there was a metal spike.
Am I
Well, I
in it?
couldn't hear that.
Whenever the impact occurred, I was only 2 years old and I had a metal spike in the brain.
You have metal spike in your brain?
So it got.
There was an accident and the metal spike hit and that's what caused the fracture.
Oh, I gotcha. And you're good now, right?
Really still bad, but I'm not good.
So that's how cool your body is. It really protects you and takes care of yourself. And if you have damage to one spot, what your brain can do is, so there may be damage right here, and it can just go bypass that damaged area, so you don't even notice that it's there, because it can protect itself. But so that would be the area, though, that your occipital lobe is probably what could have been affected. But it seems like you're good to go.
Cam, did you have a question?
Oh no, I was just making sure like I could see myself in the thing.
Oh, yeah. I can see
I
it.
mean, I couldn't really see it on the. Yeah.
Why do we blink when we sneeze?
I keep my eyes open.
Why do we blink when we sneeze?
Oh, so, I think it's a reflex to, like, protect your eyes, because you're kind of, when you're sneezing, you're kind of not in a defensive mode. And remember, we evolved, through years of evolution when times were much more dangerous than they are now. So I think usually we sneeze to get something out of our nose, but we also keep our eyes protected as well, to keep stuff from getting into our eyes. So I think that's why that happens.
Randy?
Which animal has the body system that's more similar to humans?
Is there a body or an animal that has the most similarities to a human?
Probably like a chimpanzee or another kind of monkey. They're probably the closest to us. We don't do dissections on those though, but they're going to be the closest to us, evolutionarily speaking.
Have you ever dissected an eye of an animal before?
Dissected an eye? What else was there?
Of an animal.
Oh yeah, no, we do sheep eyes. And have you guys done an eye yet?
No, but I can show it to them because we have some more eyes from the 8th grade doing it.
But I saw a cow eye that is dissected.
So I could show them a live one.
Yeah, the coolest is, have you guys ever, when you're with your parents or somebody and you're driving down the road late at night, and you'll see maybe a raccoon or a deer in the headlights with their eyes and they shine all like bright green or blue? Have you guys all seen that? Or your dog, right? You take a picture of your dog and their eyes look kind of crazy. That's shining off of what's called the tapetum lucidum, which is a big word, but really what it means is it helps the animal see at night. So it's really pretty, it's a really pretty color. So when you guys do that dissection, look for the tapetum lucidum, because we don't have that, because our night vision isn't nearly as good as your dog's, right? So when we get our pictures taken and you get the red eye, in pictures, that's light hitting off of the blood vessels in the back of our eyes.
Why do our eyes widen when we're like in the dark?
Okay. These guys, because light is more of an 8th grade standard. So they want to know, why do your eyes dilate in the dark?
Oh, okay, so you can see better, right? So think about when you walk into your bedroom at night and you don't turn the light on, and you automatically like walk into your bed or something like that, and you stub your knees. But once you're in there for maybe a minute or less, all of a sudden now you can see where your bed is, and now you can see where the table is. It's just to help you see at night. So it's letting your pupils dilate. They get bigger, so more light can get in. And so right now you're sitting in a bright room, so your pupils are probably all kind of constricted because there's a lot of light there, so you need to limit the amount of light that is going to come into your eyes. Have you ever, when maybe you're watching a movie in class and then all of a sudden the lights go on and you go kind of do that, like it hurts? Yeah, that's because your pupils were dilated, and then when the bright light comes on, it actually hurts your eyes because your pupils are letting too much light in. So it actually hurts a little bit. So you gotta wait for your pupils to constrict to get smaller to limit the light that comes into your eye.
Very good.
So is that kind of like the same as cats? Like how their eyes do?
Yeah, and so the question is that why animals' pupils dilate and constrict also?
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
Very good. Okay. It's okay. If you want to write it down, if I can't answer it, I'll call her later. Okay?
Like, you know how you gotta go to the bathroom and like you like jump around and cross your legs? Is that like a reason why you do that?
Is there a reason why you kind of get ants in your pants and cross your legs when you gotta go pee?
I think that's more, you gotta go, so you want to do whatever you can to not have an accident. I haven't learned anything about that. I think it's just trying to keep it in there. I think is what's going on.
More of a mental game rather than the actual muscle of the bladder needing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got two muscles that control the release of urine. And so one you don't have to think about, it just kind of does it on its own, but the other one you have conscious control over. So just, you're constricting that muscle when you're just sitting there. So you've got control over it, even though it feels like you might not.
It really doesn't work, but does it actually work if you're on a bull ride?
Can you guys be quiet?
I didn't hear that.
I got it answered. It's okay.
Like, how come we have to like go pee when we're around like water? We can like water.
Oh yeah.
The act of hearing water, why does that make you have to pee?
It just makes you think of it, right? That's like if I were to talk about like cheeseburgers, now you kind of want a cheeseburger, it's the same kind of thing. You hear running water, it sounds like peeing, so then you think about peeing, that kind of thing.
The cheeseburger comment, they go to lunch here in about 10 minutes, so good job on that.
I gotta ask
Or french fries or anything like that.
And it's working on me too.
Yeah.
because it's Saturday night and this weekend.
Oh, the hot and cold water, the difference in temperature that kind of,
I'm gonna go
are you talking about like the frame?
shopping when I get
Or like
home.
going into a
How much money I bring?
or like a hot tub. Or
I'll
like
bring about
cold,
30.
is hot or cold? Is that why like when
You
you
know,
go
I wear
make your bladder?
$13.
I guess.
Okay, so
I need to buy food
you
and
jump
I'm gonna buy
into a
something
cold
else.
pool, why does your bladder make
I'm
you
gonna get
seem
some
like you have to
fries.
pee?
I don't really know, maybe the shivering has something to do with it, just you're shivering and that's your muscles constricting. But that's probably all it has to do with whether you went to the bathroom before you jumped in the pool or not. A lot of times when you're uncomfortable, you just think about like you jumping into a cold pool makes you uncomfortable, and you think about all the other things that are uncomfortable as well, like needing to go to the bathroom or something like that. Maybe the only thing I could think is when you jump into a cold pool like that, all of your muscles are going to constrict because when you're cold and you shiver, that's your skeletal muscles constricting to create heat. When all of your muscles are constricting to create heat, that will put some pressure on your bladder.
You know how when you sleep, like your body shuts off, like it's just like you're like paralyzed. Is that more of a muscle thing or a brain?
Okay, how you seem kind of sort of paralyzed when you're sleeping, is that a muscular thing or a brain thing?
It's a brain thing. You've got a system in your brain called the reticular activating system. And so it's a little part of the brain. I couldn't even point to the structure. It's just a network of neurons, basically. And so that's what keeps you partially conscious, so you don't go like all the way under like you would if you're getting surgery or something like that. It keeps you partially aware of what's going on. That's why you can wake up again. But also it's so since that's working and keeping you partially aware of what's going on, all of your muscles, everything else can relax because your reticular activating system is keeping you partially aware of what's going on. That's why a sudden sound will wake you up because of that system.
You know why people are born with like without no arm or no ear or stuff like that?
How come there are deformities in birth? So, somebody born without an arm or an abnormal arm or without an ear or something like that.
Well, that has to do with, do you guys have like cell division or anything like that?
We don't actually talk about the cell dividing, just that the alleles that make up the sperm and the egg.
So what happens when when the sperm and the egg combine, then they exchange chromosomes basically, and they undergo what's called crossing over, where like one chromosome is going to share an allele with another chromosome, and sometimes when crossing over happens and they're sharing those alleles, a mistake happens. And it doesn't work exactly the way it's supposed to work, and that's where a lot of abnormalities can occur, like way back, when fertilization first occurred and crossing over occurs and they're exchanging alleles and stuff like that, something doesn't happen exactly right. And so if something's like a genetic condition, something that kind of runs in the family, that means those mistakes are more common in a particular family than they are maybe in other people.
How come when we sleep, like sometimes it's like you have a nightmare or something, and like let's say you hurt your arm in your dream, but you like feel it, I don't know,
Okay.
when you're like.
Okay. So when you're sleeping and you have certain dreams, and say you hurt your arm in your dream, how come when you wake up your arm feels hurt?
Dreams are one of those things. There's a lot of the brain that still isn't fully understood. And probably, with that is your brain can play tricks on you. Have you ever heard of somebody who maybe loses a limb and they'll have what's called phantom pain? They still feel like they have that limb there. And you don't have it, it's not there, but your brain still, your like subconscious mind hasn't quite wrapped their head around that yet. And so they still feel like you have that limb there. It's probably the same kind of thing, that it didn't really happen, but your subconscious, it did happen, so then you feel the pain. And there's a lot that's still not known because it's such an intricate system.
And for some reason, we just don't want to cut open humans that are still alive and study it.
Yeah, that would be a bad idea. Yeah.
It's kind of messy.
Yeah.
How come when you're in surgery and you're in a deep sleep, like, is that like temporary death or something?
Is anesthetics from a surgery like partial death?
Oh, no, not at all. What it does is it's basically like blocking receptors. So you've got certain receptors that can receive the pain, and then it'll send that information along a pathway to the brain where it's perceived. So anesthetic, depending on the type of anesthesia that you get, part of that pathway is being blocked for a little bit of time. So like a topical anesthetic, something that you could just put right on your skin, that's basically blocking the receptors on your skin from feeling the pain. You could have a different anesthetic that is blocking the pathway up in the brain, that's blocking something up there. Basically, it's the message isn't getting through. So everything else is still working just fine, but that one particular message of pain isn't making its way to the brain, so you're not perceiving it.
Okay, lots of hands. I'm gonna go with Don.
Is it okay if I say 2 questions, one's a quick one?
Do what?
Is it okay if I say 2 questions, one's a quick one?
Do the quick one first, because we're getting close on time, because I know you guys want to go to lunch on time.
The first one,
I can't hear, guys.
Oh, okay.
the first question I had was, does moving your body to like a certain position sort of affect your bladder? Cause like, maybe sometimes when you're playing hide and seek, for some reason you gotta use the bathroom while you're hiding.
So, that's a good question. So when you're playing hide and seek, and if you curl up into a ball, why does that make you have to pee?
I thought you were going to talk about your legs falling asleep or something like that. It's just compression. So in your abdominal cavity, your bladder is in the very bottom part of your abdominal pelvic cavity, and you've got all these organs that are on top of it in a way. And so if you're curling up into a little ball, you're making that whole abdominal pelvic cavity smaller. So how much room do you think your bladder has to expand? Not very much. So that's why like stretching out helps. Sitting down when you have to pee is tough because all of your organs are kind of pressing down your bladder. Pregnant women, have you heard any women who are pregnant and have to pee all the time? Because that baby is hanging out right on top of their bladder. Yeah.
I haven't heard from you.
When you wake up and you like stretch and like when you and you like sometimes have to start first in your leg, like what do your
That's a great question. The question is, so when you wake up and you just stretch it out because you got to stretch it out, but then you get a Charlie horse. What do your muscles actually do to get rid of that Charlie horse?
Well, so your muscles aren't an isolated system. They basically have lots of good blood supply to them. So a Charlie horse could be maybe a buildup of a waste product called lactic acid, or it could be like compression or something like that. So maybe you need a little bit more oxygen to those muscles for a minute. And so why it takes some time is your muscles need to be able to get rid of that waste product, and now it'll get rid of that waste product through your blood. And to get more oxygen to those muscles, and that's all going to come through your blood. And so that'll take a little bit of time because it's gotta take a little bit of work to clean it all out, and then get good stuff, good nutrients and stuff back in there. But your muscles have a really, really good blood supply to do that.
And my kiddos also found out that the liver the kidneys then filter out that blood 25 times about every day, the same type of part of whole blood, so. Okay.
Yep, they're getting out all good, keeping the good stuff.
Yeah, I think we got time for about one more question, and then the kiddos that still have questions, I will I plan on phoning you later tonight anyway, but I'll get them answered then.
Likewise, I can answer any questions you guys have.
Does only having one kidney make the urinary system weaker or less slower?
So if you only have,
No, only,
okay,
only one kidney. So this is actually, my dad, he donated one of his kidneys to my cousin. And he is perfectly fine. He doesn't even have to take any medicine or anything like that. Why you got two of most everything in your body is to just kind of protect you in case there's damage to one. He does have to be careful because you know that it can use help get rid of waste and stuff like that. So say he were to eat just really crappy food all the time, that would be bad because it'd put too much work on that one kidney. So he's got to make sure that he eats healthy and he exercises so he can keep everything else strong. But he'll be perfectly fine, no problems with just that one kidney as long as he takes good care of himself, which we all should do that anyway, right? So that's a really good question, yeah.
well, I'm gonna flip to them so that they can see themselves and say thank you so much for entertaining all of our questions and having your models already ready for us. And they're gonna wanna get to lunch here in about a minute, so, but thank you so much, Professor Sidwell, for meeting with us and talking to us.
Oh my God, look at my hair.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and,